Chương trình này được bảo trợ bởi
Family Joy, tổ ấm y tế của mọi gia đình, 714 898 0765.
Hi, welcome to the OC Health and Education Show on Little Saigon TV. I'm your host, Julie Yip. To us, OC stands for our community because we believe that our community is stronger when we come together. That's why we thank you for joining us each Tuesday evening on channel 56.10 and on Wednesday morning. As you know, this is a bilingual English and Vietnamese program dedicated to educating, empowering, and inspiring our community. Today on our show today, we have Robert Rush III to talk about the importance of services provided for people who are unhoused. Julie kính chào quý vị khán giả của Little Saigon TV trong chương trình kiến thức y khoa, gia đình và xã hội. Chương trình OC Health and Education là chương trình song ngữ. Mỗi tuần Julie sẽ đem tới cho quý vị mấy cái chương trình về dịch vụ cho giúp cho cộng đồng của mình. Hôm nay Julie mời được Robert Rush III of Hope of the Valley, hiện tại đó là Hope the Mission, để theo nói về cái chương trình để giúp cho mọi người homeless mà không có nhà. Robert, welcome to the show.
Hi, Julie. Thank you so much for this opportunity. And LSTV, I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you.
Well, I'm so excited to learn about the programs and services that are provided for Hope the Valley, Hope the Mission. Can you tell us a little bit about what you do for people who are unhoused in the community?
Awesome. Well, Hope the Mission started about 13 years ago. And we do what is called homeless intervention services. We have various shelters that we have for individuals experiencing homelessness. We have an access center, a navigation center. We also have tiny homes. A lot of people have heard of our tiny homes. We have 6 tiny home sites.
That's where I learned it from. I read on all the news and I see all these interviews and it's like, wow, there's just these tiny homes that are popping up in LA. And how do we bring that to Orange County? So for me, the reason why I reach out and I want to learn about your organization is, first of all, I want to introduce to you to the community and outreach to people of the AAPI community specifically, but also to know that there are so many options and services provided that we can access these families or these people who are unhoused.
Absolutely. It's a serious issue that we have, especially in Los Angeles. I'm not sure if you know, but there's about 70,000 people that are actually on the streets. And
that's in LA?
That's in Los Angeles County,
okay.
Yeah. And then some would say actually that goes upward to about 100,000. So the 70,000 that we have are the individuals that have actually been documented. So there may be upward 100,000 people that are experiencing homelessness. And so the thing that we find and we see is that there's such a great need. And so I'm excited to be here to share about where we are and what we're doing, because there's a lot that's needed in the area for sure.
Well, thank you so much for being here and for sharing, for being a model to our community and think about ways we can help these families. Julie muốn giới thiệu cho quý vị hôm nay anh Robert Rush III. Anh Robert Rush III là Senior Director of People and Culture của Hope the Mission. Hope the Mission là một cái trung tâm giúp cho mọi người mà không có nhà, mà trước nhất là có cái mentorship hoặc cái counseling để cho hướng dẫn cho mình biết. Có rất nhiều cái chương trình. Trong LA County họ tạo ra rất nhiều cái tiny home, cái nhà nhỏ họ cất cho mọi người, cho họ không có được cần ngủ ngoài đường, với cũng có cái safety trong đó. Robert, I was just wanted to introduce the audience to the concept of even tiny homes. How was it that you were able to get the residents or the community to allow you to build these tiny homes in LA County, for example?
That's a very good question. A lot of our tiny homes are connected with districts. And so we were in partnership with the mayor, partnership with the councilman.
Okay.
And it's in partnership with essentially the city. We've been able to get locations and spaces to create tiny home communities. And from that, individuals that are living in those areas, they're qualified to enter into the tiny home, the sites, for sure.
Wow, so you guys really have to make that connection to make sure that there's a stronger foundation.
Absolutely.
And even, willingness to invite these families.
Yes, and so people that we serve are actually in our system. In the system where they're placed in our tiny home sites. So they have to be in the location in the area to be able to have access to the tiny home sites. But it's about a 3 to 6 month program, and it's interim housing. So a lot of times people think that people are living permanently in the tiny homes, And that's not the case.
Oh.
It's just a temporary shelter as we work with individuals. Our main objective is to help individuals to get into permanent housing. That's really our main objective. And so the tiny homes, the shelters that we have, they're a temporary solution. And so we're getting people off the streets and assisting them and helping them with their basic needs. And what we see a lot of times is individuals, it's really difficult for a person to experience recovery, healing, mental health healing, or recovery if they're not housed. And so we believe it's a human right. And so being able to provide these tiny homes are helping us get people, off the street into a home, into a place of stability, for sure.
I really love what you said, that housing is a human right.
Absolutely.
Because a lot of times people don't see as, food and shelter being a human right sometimes.
Absolutely.
Right? And I think that's one thing that we talk about is, when we walk by or drive by someone that is homeless, we oftentimes don't even almost see them as human.
Now, I think
that's kind of the part for me is that it makes me cry sometimes because, there's one incident that I was in Orange County and I had gone to some meeting with, all of these electeds and all of these, leaders in the community. And there were hundreds of us that walked by this little lady that's sitting right there. And I came up to her and I said, my name is Julie, nice to meet you. And she said her name and she says, my name is Cindy. And she says, you don't have to shake my hand. Oh. And one thing about it is that for me, I want to remind them that they are loved. I want to remind them that they are seen. And I wanted to apologize. So I said to her, on behalf of everyone that passed you by today, I'm sorry. And she teared up. She says, honey, you don't need to apologize. I'm used to it. And, things like that. I mean, this television station allows me that platform to talk about my personal experience and bring amazing people and organizations to help us open our eyes and maybe just to at least say hi.
Now, Julie, I want to say that I appreciate that commentary for sure. But about last year, our CEO and our CFO, our president, actually did 100 hours on the street. Wow. And you can actually go on our website and you can look it up, and it's very interesting. But one of the things that really stood out to me is that when they did that particular time, they talked about how they became used to being overlooked. Wow. And they began to
almost withdraw,
withdraw from society. They got so used to people overlooking them. And these are individuals that are running a pretty large organization and do very well for themselves. So just the nature of that. And I think for me to hear that from them was really eye-opening. Yes. Because as an individual that has lived in Los Angeles, we've seen homelessness forever. And so it's very easy to forsake, but we're dealing with human beings. I often think about, we're dealing with somebody's mother, somebody's son, somebody's daughter. And so we have
to... But you humanize them.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the best way of service. I think for us at Hope, we really try our best to make people feel great about themselves. We talk about, for example, we're getting ready to open up some shelters for families. Yes. And so I'm really excited about that. And I'm a dad. I have 2 children. And it's really cool to see, kids that come into the family shelters that are young, but at the same time they're homeless. But after 2-3 weeks, you start to see that they start changing their mindset, and you start seeing a lot of the layers, the hurt, the disappointment from being homeless as children start wearing off. But creating an environment essentially that is humanizing, that is dignifying. We really try our best to offer services that are dignifying to those that are experiencing homelessness, for sure.
So there's 2 words that you just taught me and reminded me: humanizing and dignifying.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for reminding our audience to see the human side of the people who are unhoused. Julie muốn giới thiệu quý vị một lần nữa anh Robert, I was going to say Downey, Robert Rush III, Senior President of People and Culture của Hope the Mission. Hôm nay Julie học được 2 cái chữ, đó là humanizing với dignifying. Humanizing là lúc mà quý vị thấy cái người không có nhà cửa, mình cũng phải thấy họ giống là một con người. Sau đó là dignifying là mình phải giống như cái chữ là respect, mình phải giúp họ. Mình không phải có giúp họ được mà cũng không có được làm khó cho họ. Bữa nay Julie học là trong LA County có 70.000 người bị homeless, không phải là chỉ 70.000 người thôi, mà là 70.000 người mà documented trong cái system của họ. Hope the Mission là trước nhất muốn giúp cho mọi người được transitional housing. Transitional housing là có cái nhà nhỏ đó, cái tiny home để cho họ thấy họ có cái an toàn chút. Lúc đó thì cái mission giúp cho mỗi người đó được có permanent housing, cái nhà bình thường cho an toàn hơn cho một cái người bị homeless. Như lúc đó Julie nói về homeless, nhiều người nghĩ rằng là cái người homeless họ làm drugs, họ không có muốn giúp. Thiệt ra giống như anh Robert nói bên này á, họ muốn cái sự giúp đỡ, mà mình phải làm sao mình có mở cái tim mình mở rộng lên để cho mình giúp thêm nhiều người. Sau phần quảng cáo, chúng ta sẽ tiếp tục nói chuyện với Robert Rush of Hope Valley. Cảm ơn quý vị khán giả of Little Saigon TV.